now a share certificate is not proof of ownership, and in the event of transfer of the property, you cannot use a share certificate. What usually happens in the event of group ownership is they have different ownership structures that they put in place to acquire or dispose of property. So in some instances, you find an individual buying property on their own, an individual buying property through a chama, or a chama decides to buy property, or you buy property through a company. So your unit of ownership in that company would be a share, which will directly reflect or indicate you as an owner to that property. So in that instance, the company will issue with a share certificate, but that share certificate is not a direct indication of the title document you have for the property. So the property will be registered under the company or under the legal person or legal entity, but your ownership is reflected through the ownership structure of that entity as a company member or a member of a chama. Capital gains tax is paid by the person who is selling the property. The way you arrive at capital gains tax is you look at the price of the property at the time you acquired it and the costs incurred during that time. You also look at the current price at which you are disposing that property, in other words, at which you're selling that property, and the additional costs that you're incurring with respect to selling that property, costs like agency fees, legal fees. So you will do a deduction of those costs, and 5% from the net deduction will be a capital gains tax. So why is capital gains tax necessary? Besides being an obligation, a mandatory obligation from the government, as a tax obligation from the government for a person who's selling the property, a seller, or rather a buyer, is unable to pay stamp duty unless they've received a capital gains tax acknowledgement form from the seller. So a seller needs to provide proof of payment of capital gains tax, which would facilitate someone who is buying to pay stamp duty.